Holy crap.
I think we're recording. So welcome to episode 58 of Third and Wrong. I'm your co-host, Stephen Bolin, and with me as always are Zach and Auzzie. Let's go to Zach first. Zach, how are things?
Living the dream here in quarantine. Pretty beautiful day out. When I first woke up, it was sunny and nice, and now it's a little gloomy, but I'm happy and positive to be here with you guys.
Very cool. And Auzzie, how are things in the hat? Where Zach's also there, but how are things with you, I guess?
Things are going pretty darn good. I don't know if there's much to add there, and words are hard, so I'm already off to a blazing start. So let's
Fair enough.
over with.
You know who's not good? The Houston Texans in 2020. Bill O'Brien makes another trade, this time for Brandin Cooks out of Los Angeles, the wide receiver. He gave up a second-round pick this year in return for Cooks and the fourth-round pick in 2022. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I can't. So that's why, as the host, I'm going to pass it off to Auzzie to try to explain the rationale behind this one.
Oh man, is there really any rationale for stupidity? I'm just so baffled by Bill O'Brien's concepts of valuing his players and his draft picks and other players for that matter. Brandin Cooks has been a concussion machine, and that's not to offend him. That's just straight facts. He's been getting concussions. I think he's had a concussion every single year. Last year he had 2, I think, throughout the year. And so he's been held out of games. I thought personally that he was going to call it quits after last year just because they've been racking up. Like, for the guy's mental health long term, like, just quit playing football, because that's not something you want to be playing around with. And so you trade for a guy who is injury prone, you give up a second round pick for it, and like, do you want to be happy that you got a 2022 fourth round pick? Like, I'm not going to give you props for that. That's 3 drafts away. So I don't know if there's much more to take away from this other than the fact that if Brandin Cooks is healthy, you get a good receiver, but at what cost? I don't like it at all. And, I think that after you trade away DeAndre Hopkins for a second in his own right, you do get David Johnson back at an inflated contract. So I don't know where the balance is in terms of valuing your players. And like, I just feel like you should stop trading altogether. Just let somebody else do it, or just keep the team you have. If they would have kept the team they had, they have the cap space to sign these guys. I just don't get it personally.
Zach, your thoughts? Obviously, both your favorite teams are in the AFC, so the Texans have been a perennial threat for 2 or 3 years now since they've gotten Watson. And now you're looking at it. I don't see these guys really taking the division. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's even more prevalent now. What are your thoughts on this?
Guys, I'm actually going to take a little bit of a different route on this one.
Hot takes aren't allowed on here, buddy.
Yeah, sorry, man. I actually like this trade a little bit. On both ends. The one concern I do have, yes, is the same one Auzzie does with injuries for Cooks. However, I see Cooks in that offense, and I actually see he's a huge benefit, and he fits Deshaun Watson absolutely perfectly when healthy, mind you. So if we're looking at it in a positive sense here, they had 2 second-round picks. They traded the later of the 2, the 57th pick, for Brandin Cooks, who, when healthy, and Auzzie, you know this, when healthy, is an unreal receiver and one of the fastest guys in the NFL. Deshaun Watson has a cannon, and he loves spreading the field. I actually, when Brandin Cooks is healthy, I look at him as one of the top, like he's top 15 at least in the NFL when healthy. That being said, he's had 6 seasons, and this last season was injury prone. He only got 582 or whatever in yards. But before that, he had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons, a Super Bowl victory with the Patriots. He brings that presence to the locker room. Hopefully it's not like he wanted a trade out of LA, so I hope it's not like a negative presence to the locker room. But I like his fit within the offense, and I think Bill O'Brien realized, yes, I hated the Hopkins trade, but I like the fit as a receiver and quarterback between Deshaun Watson and Cooks. That's the only reason I do like the trade. And it wasn't like, because when New England went and got him, they gave a first round pick, I think, giving a second, but still having a second in this year's draft, and then getting a future 4. I think the value was on both ends if you look at it as a trade for what the offense was needing in Houston and what needed to be let go in LA. I think it was a fit on both ends for the trade. That's just hoping that Brandin Cooks stays healthy. If Cooks is healthy all year, which is saying a lot, like to stay healthy all year in a football season for anyone of that matter is hard. So I think it's a great fit actually with Deshaun Watson. But obviously no trade's going to be as perfect as like the few that we do talk about that are. I don't hate this trade as much as others.
Fair enough. Benjamin Albright had a funny tweet last night. He goes, about 20% of the Rams salary cap is dedicated to players who are not playing for them in 2020.
Holy shit.
So I think that would be Cooks, Todd Gurley. I don't know if they lost cap or dead money on Clay Matthews.
There was, yeah.
Roby Coleman might have had dead money to it.
Wow.
I think so. I don't want to dive.
Cap hit.
What's that? Oh, Goff. Yeah, Goff's eaten 18%. Let's quickly talk about this, guys, because I think there's some people defending that, saying they had a window and they attacked it, right? They made the Super Bowl, and you have to try to capitalize on that window. They went all in. They traded draft picks for Ramsey. They went all in. But have the Patriots potentially given us a skewed perception of sustained success where, we see teams jump at these windows because they're very small. You look at the Seahawks, it was 2 or 3 years, and then the LOB went their other way. Cam and Rich Sherman got hurt. Thomas broke his leg 2 years in a row, or 2 times in 3 years. Are you guys pro what the Rams did in shooting the gap for that window, or would you have rather they kept their picks, maybe not traded for Ramsey and maybe not given out some of these contracts and tried for a more sustained success route? Or is that unrealistic? Have the Patriots skewed our perception of sustained success in reality? Auzzie, we'll go to you first, the Patriots fan. Is it possible to do what your favorite team does?
I think that it's going to be easy for me to say I don't think so. I don't think it is, but I think that has a large part of that has to do with having the best coach to ever coach, arguably. Yeah. So I think that when you have that, you can kind of, what we've seen the Patriots do every free agency throughout this run is they will wait in free agency. They'll grab guys who lose their value in free agency, who are just waiting there, with the exception of a few like Stephon Gilmore, for example. But you find guys that kind of at the bottom of the barrel in free agency, good value guys who Bill knows he can just scheme around their talents and around their strengths, and coaching has everything to do with that. We want to believe that a head coach or a really good defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator can do that and channel that by trading for a Jalen Ramsey, a star there, trading for a Marcus Peters, like the Rams did for both those guys. You can't just trade for an elite talent and just presume that that's going to turn out in your system. Coaching has everything to do with that as well. I think it's a symbiotic relationship between talent and coach, and kind of managing that. So I think what the Rams did is they saw talent, they went and attacked it, they went and grabbed it, and it didn't work out. It wasn't sustainable. Now we're seeing the repercussions of that. They don't have a lot of draft capital. They don't have a lot of cap space to sign other guys for long-term success. And not to say that the Rams are the only team to do this, and other teams don't do it differently in terms of going all in. But the Rams are a prime example of maybe what not to do. If it were me, even being a Patriots fan, I would kind of go away from that, and I would say, you know what, we made the Super Bowl, or we have a Super Bowl window. I would be maybe trading up in the draft for top prospects, because then you get them for 4 or 5 years. When you look at the Rams trading for Marcus Peters, they had him for what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
Ramsey, they've got a year, and now they have to sign him to an extension. I would be doing that because we see the value in having a quarterback on a rookie contract. If we have like a bunch of elite prospects who might not pan out, but who, if they do, you have that 4 or 5 year window with them, I'd be doing that. I'd be putting all my eggs into draft picks. And maybe that's a bad way of looking at it as well. And I hope that I didn't discredit myself, all the other stuff that I said by saying that, but that's kind of how I would do it.
Zach, your thoughts on, and this is, we talk about doing this in Madden and stuff, shooting the gap for the Super Bowl window or building for sustained success. And I don't know if those have to be mutually exclusive. Like, obviously you don't want to be like, well, we're not going to go for the Super Bowl this year. I want to be good in 3 years from now, but there's planning for the future. And there's also, we have this team, we have this quarterback, let's go.
Yeah. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. I'm never going to jump in and be like, a team that's trying to acquire a bunch of high level talent to make a run at a Super Bowl, who just made it to a Super Bowl. I don't think it's a wrong idea to acquire that talent in the Rams. Just look at the division. They need talent there. They need that there. But in the NFL, when you're playing with 11 players on each side of the ball plus special teamers, and you need to build a sustained roster, that is hard. That is not easy. But at the same token, you need good coaching, as Auzzie said, to have that sustained success. I think, obviously, we're seeing what can happen when things go bad. Like, you can always play the what if game. I don't agree with paying high level running backs shit tons of money, but Todd Gurley doesn't get injury prone knees. That McVay offense comes back and is prone, and they go get Ramsey. That team's scary for the next little while. There's things you can't see. Control. You can't see into the future, right? And you can't control things like injuries and things like that. So I will never fault the team. And to be honest with you, as a Cleveland Browns fan, I want them to thread the needle. Winning a Super Bowl at the start, not every team's going to, it's hilarious. You see a team go into a Super Bowl and you're like, next dynasty. I want a dynasty here. Focus on that championship.
Guilty. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But as a Browns fan, I'm like, I want a Super Bowl. Get me a Super Bowl plan. There's a balance. I think the answer is there needs to be balance. You need to acquire the talent. You need to acquire the coach. You need to get everything ready for that moment. A Super Bowl window, so to speak, isn't open very long, as we agreed upon, but sustaining draft capital, in my opinion, I agree with Auzzie 100%. You need to be able to draft well on those smaller contracts that can come in at times and have the right coach to pick and place these guys in the right formation, right scheme to win these games, and then move forward with your top talent. There's no right or wrong answer here, and I could babble on forever. Yeah. I really think it's a balance.
I think this, not the Seahawks, damn it, the Patriots really skewed our perception. We see, and it skewed mine, man. The Seahawks won that Super Bowl in 2013, and I'm like, man, next dynasty. We went back to the Super Bowl the next year and lost. I'm like, okay, we can still we still have this core. We still have the LOB. We still have Russ. By 2015, Lynch was kind of on his last legs. But it's you just kind of get these expectations when it's just appreciate the Super Bowl, man. It's hard to win a Super Bowl. It's hard to even get back. Since the Seahawks lost, we haven't got past the divisional round because we've ended up on the road every time in the divisional round. But it's hard to win road playoff games, man. Every single Super Bowl participant, I think since the Ravens went in 2012, has been a number 1 or 2 seed. It's hard to win road playoff games, man. It doesn't matter if you have Russell Wilson. It doesn't matter if look at the Ravens, even the 1 seed. It's hard to get there, man. And the Patriots, I think, have maybe even spoiled not just Pats fans, but the entire NFL of what we expect from our teams when they have a really good year. You look at the Eagles. You look at the Eagles, for example, right? It's hard to get back. And they had a bunch of dogs, man. I picked them. I went back and found in my Google Doc. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl last year because I just thought they would. But injuries hit, things happen. It's tough. Speaking of the Patriots, Auzzie, Tom Brady had a great interview with Howard Stern. I haven't listened to the full thing yet, but you have. He talked about everything from his marriage to his exit from New England, a bunch of other things. Care to elaborate on some of your favorite talking points from that interview, which is rare for him to open up like that, but.
Yeah, he really did hit on everything down to Gronk's schlong.
Oh, I didn't hear that. So okay.
Yeah, that was so I was very taken aback by just not even that, but just how, like you said, how open he was about everything. It was fantastic. I don't know. I would just recommend people go listen to it. It was 2 hours of content. I'm not going to just recap every
Fair
point,
enough.
but it was fantastic interview. I thought that. I mean, personally, I didn't like how, maybe this is just Howard Stern's interview style, but he kept cutting Brady off to ask like questions that were like aside from what was the topic at hand while Brady was talking. So I didn't like that part very much. But other than that, I thought it was very entertaining, and you see a side of Brady that you really did not see in New England. So maybe this is a sign of kind of how Brady plans to act in Tampa Bay under an outspoken Bruce Arians as a head coach.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not going to make you recap every 10 minutes of it. So definitely go check that out. I think there's a few options to watch it on YouTube, or I think even SiriusXM is offering people to go listen to it for free during this quarantine period that we're in. So even just some of the talking points that leaked out of it that people were reporting on and talking about were pretty interesting. How he knew that 2019 was his last season in New England. Like, that's pretty interesting. That's, you want to hear more about that. So definitely go check that out. Guys, NFL draft season's upon us, and on April 23rd, the NFL draft's going to take place virtually. A lot of coaches and GMs are concerned about getting hacked and stuff. Like, they're pretty much going to be talking to their executives like how we're talking right now. So we're almost as technologically advanced as the NFL. So look at that, taking strides. But that's a concern of hacking and everything. But all that aside, guys, we're not going to do our mock till next week. But what I wanted to talk about this week is our favorite teams: Browns, Patriots, Seahawks, and what positions or potentially players, if you want to get into it, that you guys want to target with. The Browns have the 10th pick, the Pats have the 23rd, and the Seahawks have the 27th. Do you see your teams trading down? Do you see them trading up for anyone? Maybe Patriots quarterback Auzzie? No. But let's go to you first, Zach, because your team has the first to pick, 10th overall. What are some of the Browns team needs that you see? What do you think they'll do, and what would you like them to do? And is that different from one another?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there are some glaring needs for the Browns, and the biggest one, people are pointing at the tackle. I think that, like, media-wise, is what everyone's focused on, is getting Baker help, which, we attacked in free agency. We got a right tackle. We needed both tackles filled. Now, looking at this draft, I study mock drafts. I listen to a lot of podcasts regarding the draft. I really enjoy hearing the different mocks and what's going to happen. And the perfect scenario for me, and this is far-fetched, it's going to be really hard to acquire this for somebody falling to us at 10, but the perfect player I'd want, and it's not going to be what most people are going to want to hear from a tackle perspective. I want Isaiah Simmons, man. That I heard, it was a very, very interesting interview. It was on Cleveland Browns Daily, but think about it this way. We really attacked our starting lineup in free agency. Then on defense, we kind of built depth. And right now we're playing in a division that sees Lamar Jackson, the most gifted athlete at quarterback potentially ever. Michael Vick could have a say in that, but an offense that kind of changed how we look at offenses right now, run heavy, throw after, tight ends heavy, with a mobile quarterback. We need somebody who can come in and bring that physical presence that Lamar does on offense to our defense. And I think Isaiah Simmons is perfect, man. The guy he is a Swiss Army knife. He's arguably one of the best players in this draft. He can play safety. He can play on the line. He can jump back into coverage. It's
so crazy, man.
The Swiss Army knife.
He can rush the passer and play safety. Like, how do you stop that?
Right. And very athletic. Like, he is the perfect fit. We need help at linebacker. We have Mac Wilson, who is coming off a rookie season. He's I love the potential in Mac Wilson. He hasn't shined to his potential yet. We got BJ Goodson in free agency from the Packers, who I think his max amount of tackles in a year was 38. He's supposed to be our representative of guy with tons of experience. And he was drafted in 2018, I think. We have Sione Takitaki. We drafted him last year before Mac in the 3rd round. We need talent at linebacker. I'm not saying those guys aren't talented, but to click into that potential, I think Isaiah Thomas, you pick him, he jumps into the fold. This guy's going to attack an offense, man, and he's going to play with instinct and look absolutely amazing. On that being said, I could see us, and what I feel we're going to do is go tackle, because I see Isaiah Simmons coming off the board at 4. But we'll jump into the mock draft another day. Who I want, and this was a good one with talking with Tomac. There's a lot of tackle talent in this draft. What's his name? Andrew Thomas. So I like Thomas. I find he's got, and a lot of people are saying he has a high floor, which is awesome, but his ceiling's not as high as others. I don't think Wills will be there by the time 10 rolls around, so that sucks. But having Thomas there would give us an instant starter and an improvement from Robinson last year, which is what we need, and allows Baker to stay upright for majority of the time. And he's not the strongest guy at tackle, so but he comes in, he shows good technique, and then he allows for us to build off that run game with Chubb, and then from there move forward, hopefully defending edge rushers quite well, so Baker can actually throw the football with some timing and not get hit every time. So that's kind of what I want and what I think. So it's kind of exciting.
Very well said. It'd be nice if Isaiah fell to you, but I think you definitely have to trade up in order to get your hands on him. But I think, tackle would be really good, because then you already got Conklin on the other side, and then you'd have like a monster like Andrew Thomas on the left tackle, and you'd be set there. That'd be cool. Next on the line is the 23rd pick, Auzzie, probably the highest the Patriots have picked in a while now, trades excluded. What are some of the big gaps that you see on the Patriots that you would like to address with this pick, or would you like them to trade back and potentially reset more of the roster?
If I'm not mistaken, we have another 12 picks in this draft.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a lot, but we are missing in the 2nd round. What I think could very well happen, because there's not at 23, it's going to be tough to find a guy that's that fits our needs, because there's going to be we need a wide receiver. I'm going to not say quarterback, because I'm a fan of Jarrett Stidham. We need linebacker / edge, and defensive line and tight end. But tight end, there's nobody worth taking at 23. Anyways, my point being, what I could see happening is us trading back to get another pick in the 2nd round. And it's tough. I want to predict what the Patriots are going to do, but Bill, or who they would draft, but Bill always takes the best player available, and he never drafts for need. So everybody has them taking a quarterback. They're like, oh, they lost Tom Brady, panic. No, that's the opposite of what's going to happen. The word coming out of New England is that they're big fans of Jarrett Stidham and what he has to offer. He was at times projected to be a 1st or 2nd round pick last year. So that he's kind of, as a prospect, you've got a decent guy that you drafted in the 4th round last year. And I like him. I saw enough last year in preseason where I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And it's like a preseason curse. You don't want to get too excited about a guy in preseason when he's going up against 3rd stringers and whatnot. But showing that promise, it's got to come somewhere. And so I am excited for that. I hope we don't go quarterback at 23. If we were to go quarterback, the person that everybody seems to be talking about is Jordan Love. And I just saw today Daniel Jeremiah, who is a big draft guy for those who don't know. He said that Jordan Love has the highest ceiling of all of the quarterbacks in this draft. Oh, wow. So that is fantastic. But he also has a low floor. So it's yeah. And so it's a very high risk, high reward pick. by taking Zach. I saw your face scrunch up there. You're like, what the hell? No, is this thing on?
This thing is on.
Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties. So, yeah, we've got needs. People are saying Jordan Love, but at the same point, I don't think this is a position where we want to just take a guy for the sake of taking a guy, and I don't think Bill will do that. One guy that I read up on who would fill a need at linebacker is Malik Jefferson for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and he played kind of a Kyle Van Noy kind of role where he could play in coverage, although he wasn't the greatest, and he could also rush the passer. So that is something that I would kind of be hoping for, and he's a guy that would be in that range. So as far as guys like that go, those are the only ones that really stand out for me. And like I said, it's the best player available, whoever falls to the Patriots. Personally, a guy that I would like, who is apparently falling, is Derek Brown. He's a defensive lineman, and it's not necessarily a need right now, but we did lose Danny Shelton and maybe a couple others, but I know we have a couple, a guy we had drafted last year whose name escapes, Byron Cowart. He was kind of a healthy scratch for a lot of last year. So, but I mean, when he played, he was fine. So we do have guys there, but if you can get a really good guy in Derek Brown, why the hell not, Bill? Why the hell not?
Why the heck not? Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, if he fell to 23, wow.
I've seen him mocked to the Panthers at like 7, I think. So that would shock me, but
it's all over the board, man.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually saw him too. This was only one take I saw, and they're saying the Browns should attack it as well, because we didn't have the best run defense last year. Probably linebacker play and freaking all of our guys on the D line are all there for just rushing the passer. So it would be nice having somebody on the line who's like there stout for stopping the run against Lamar and Ingram. Like, oh, I hate seeing those two run.
Do you guys know why Derek Brown is falling? That's one thing that I haven't really heard a lot on.
You're crackling.
I heard. Sorry.
Yeah, I heard. I don't know why he's falling though. Do you know, Zach?
Well, I've been reading up on it, and it's more along the lines of him being a, honestly, it's his position being D tackle, and he's just not going to make the same impact as other guys. Like, he's going to make a good impact in the run game. He's going to be that D tackle that's more quiet and there doing his job than being that standout amazing player. I heard one take like that, which I think is interesting. Like, for the right team, I think he's like a perfect fit. Like, you get a guy who can come in and stop the run. Like I said, for the Browns, that's another one where it's like, if he falls to the Browns and his talent's so high in the run stopping ability, we can get a tackle in the second round that, I'm comfortable bringing into camp and competing for that starting job and taking the best player available at number 10. Like, don't reach for someone at 10. If you're in the top 10, you're going to get a guy who can be a difference maker. And I want that guy who's going to be a difference maker, and then get the competition rolling for everyone else. A second round pick on a tackle. Mitchell Schwartz with Kansas City was a second round pick, and he's arguably the best right tackle in football right now. So, like, you can find talent there that can come in and compete. Joel Bitonio, one of the best guards, he's with us in Cleveland. He was a second round pick. We get a left tackle to compete, and then we pick the best available kind of player at 10. I like that strategy more. And I find when you look at a draft board afterwards and you see where teams reached and you look at the overall drafts that they had and they reach, they get lower grades, obviously, because of the reaching. But like, when the draft comes together in the end, you can see they went for, like, if you're in the top 10 and you go for a need with a guy who's like ranked lower first round overall, that overall draft essence just comes down, because like you're picking the need, not this difference maker that can come in and become a star. I don't know. I have quite a few opinions on that, but I just think at 10, you got to make the right pick with the right guy who's going to come in and be the right piece for you guys, who will make a difference.
See, for the Seahawks, I agree with that mindset, but from where we're at, like, we need pass rush help. We need offensive linemen. So I'm almost saying, like, one of the guys I want the Seahawks to target is Austin Jackson, 6'5", 315, just a monster that you can probably put at right tackle for a couple of years. And then when Dwayne Brown retires, they're saying you can flip him to left tackle and he'll settle in just nicely. So, but I think he has like a second round grade, but at this point, it's like, we need O-line help.
You're picking later though.
Yeah, we're 27 and that's the difference, right? Even with pass rushing help too, I know, what's his name? Gross Matos or Matos. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
Gross Matos.
Matos. Yeah. Like, I've seen a couple different mocks where he's either going higher than where we're at or somewhere he's even like in the second round. So it's kind of like, maybe it's the perfect spot to take him there. And then another, with Justin Britt, we can save 11 million on cap by cutting him, and we can go get Cesar Ruiz. I wouldn't be mad with that either. I think we as the Seahawks have to address need first. If we went and took best player available and say it's say it's a wide receiver, say like Jefferson fell, like, I don't know if I'd be comfortable with us taking a wide receiver at 27, or I don't know if I want to tackle or I shouldn't say that. I want an offensive lineman or a pass rusher. End of story for Seattle's sake. Go ahead.
I got to defend myself a bit too. And when
sure.
I say best player available, I think that I'm not meaning like kind of specialty positions or
you want a game breaker.
Right. Like, not so much maybe a skill position, but like, I'm thinking more of like, edge rushers are so important right now in the NFL. Game breaker with, like you said, like, will stop the run. You can pick him in and he's going to be like a star at stopping the run, or like an offensive lineman. Wide receivers and stuff, like, there's a lot of talent there, especially this year. But yeah, I think it's got to be a median. The more I think about what I said there, like, it's got to be, you got to get your needs, obviously, but at the same time, at certain points in the draft, you got to look at like what's available at your need, and then look at like, holy shit, this guy fell to me, to this team. We could use that difference maker. It's a balance. It's always a freaking balance.
It's always a balance. Life is balanced.
I don't trust the Seahawks with their first round picks. You might as well just trade
back. Yeah, straight out of there.
And I just wanted to correct myself. I said Malik Jefferson when I was talking about the linebackers, Malik Harrison. So so Tomac, if you're out there, I know you would probably be like, what the hell are you talking about, Auzzie? Well, now you know.
Guys, one last note on the draft. Joe Burrow to Cincinnati. I've listened to a couple different podcasts, and I thought Joe Burrow was like a surefire prospect, like almost Andrew Luck levels. But now there's people coming out saying like, well, maybe if you're the Bengals, you trade out of there and you go get Trevor Lawrence next year, because Burrow might not be that guy. I think someone compared him from stick to football to Matt Ryan, which Matt Ryan's good, but like, it's, do you want to take Matt Ryan at first overall? I don't know, but I think the Bengals will end up taking Joe Burrow. I don't know if there's an offer that would dissuade them enough to taking that guy. They seem pretty sold on him based on what I've read. Do you guys have similar or different thoughts? Do you think they'll trade back with Miami or?
No, in my opinion, I think Joe Burrow's the first overall pick. I actually really like the comparison to Matt Ryan. That would be mine as well. Everyone's been saying Matt Ryan and Tony Romo.
Oh, wow.
Man, that's if you're either one of those players, I don't know why people are so down on Matt Ryan. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to NFC championships. The guy's a good player. With the right team around him, could potentially win a Super Bowl. I think that's what you want your ceiling to be. Everyone's expecting a Tom Brady 6 Super Bowl ring kind of guy. And I'm like, we got to back up a bit there. But I think it's a lock with like Joe Burrow. The only other guy in this draft that I would freaking like Tua. I really think Tua is a great prospect at quarterback for looking quarterback. I think the first overall pick in this draft should be what's his face, edge rusher.
Chase Young.
Chase Young. Like, that's a Myles Garrett level guy. That talent, that breaking talent, like, that's who you want first overall in my books. But they need a quarterback. They need a face of the franchise. I guess I'm saying Joe Burrow. Yeah.
I think the big knock against Burrow is that, like, you look at his LSU offensive counterparts, like all his players, and like those guys are all going to be playing NFL football, likely as starters in the next year or two. He's had a stacked team, and now he's going to a pretty depleted roster. I mean, you'll have AJ Green. They're getting that. I always forget his name. That guard they drafted last year and then was out for the year. They're getting him back on the line, and I think they still have. Yeah. And then they're getting who's there? Oh, yeah, and
they still have Boyd.
Yes, and then who's their running back?
Mixon.
Oh, I didn't know what you said. My bad.
And then they still have what's his face as the third down back. I think, unless he left.
Bernard.
They still have Bernard.
Yeah,
Giovanni. Feels like he's been in the league for like 10 years.
It's actually not a horrible roster though.
No, they've done well this free agency.
Yeah. You pick Burrow up in there, and you have little Browns fans like myself going, shit, they've improved too. This is fun.
Well, you're gonna have a tough.
They were competitive in games last year at one point too. Like before they really started tanking, it was kind of like
they took Seattle to the final minute of the fourth quarter. I'm pretty sure.
First 4 or 5 weeks, they were taking teams to the final a little bit, and I was impressed. Like that was with that team. Now you've added some of the top free agency talent, and then you get a first overall pick. I mean, who says no to them finishing 7-9?
Zach says no. Yeah.
I say no. But
we'll save the rest of the draft talk for next week, guys. We hopefully I'll have a special guest joining us, an old friend of the pod. We'll leave it at that. But full mock draft, first round. We're all going to be taking turns going through each pick. We've been assigned our teams. We're working on it right now. So really excited to roll that out for everyone. Guys, Nick Wright last week unleashed. Might as well call it unleashed. A quarterback hierarchy that I didn't agree with. I don't think many of us did. And for those wondering, we'll probably repost that after this episode is published on our Instagram and Facebook, along with Zach's list that he made that I like much more. So
thanks.
With Nick Wright, he put like Mahomes and GOAT tier, which I didn't understand. And then he put a tier of franchise superstars of Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and then who else did he have up there? Was it Watson? Did he put Watson?
I think he put Watson in that. Off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what he had in that tier, but Russell was there for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, and then Aaron Rodgers being in the franchise tier at 36, maybe I just put him, I would have lowered him. But really excited to see Zach's list or share Zach's list. We've already seen it. Zach, how did you kind of make your criteria? You know, it's hard with certain quarterbacks' age and what they have left for the road ahead of them, but you're also taking into account what can they bring you next year or this year?
Right. So my list was on Wright's side there, though. I liked I think what he went with the GOAT status thing is that Patty Mahomes can attack kind of Tom Brady's legacy by winning so many Super Bowls and stuff. I think that's kind of
let's pump the brakes here.
We just talked about dynasties and how hard they are to do.
Yeah. But kind of my thing was, I take experience. Like I think experience in the quarterback position is huge, even though we saw Lamar Jackson win the MVP last year off of a few starts. But situation and productivity and the amount that, we're looking at guys who have competed and shown the ability to do it over a length of time, but one of them's not in that criteria. I just was excited to put him there. We'll jump into that. If you guys want me to kind of go through, we can discuss it as we go. So I'm going to start. Should I start at 10 or should I start at 1? Which one?
Start 10, 10 down.
10 down.
Yeah.
All right. Auzzie's going to be the one who really attacks this one. I've shown him the list, so I'm sure.
Yeah, I got it pulled up here too.
Yeah. So number 10 I have right now, I have Tom Brady. That's not a knack against Tom. He's obviously been a number 1 or top 3 in most people's lists for the past 20 years. We saw Father Time attack him a bit. I don't think he had as a bad of supporting cast as everyone said he did last year. He could have had a lot better, but he did not play up to Tom Brady standards last year. It wasn't there. There was the divorce coming in New England with him. That was probably heavy on mind and all regarding that. He has a lot of good weapons, but the more we talk about it when we talked about him going to the Bucs, the more I do think about the scheme fit. And I do think it'll be a give and take between Bruce Arians and him on how they're going to run that offense.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, of course.
Because I found this really cool article, and last year Brady only attempted 11 vertical routes, like just go routes, he had 18% accuracy on those. Winston attempted 41 and was 54 accurate on 54% of those. I'm very curious of how they're going to merge their philosophies, because like Brady can't just walk in there with New England's playbook and slap it down. I've been doing a lot of research into Tampa Bay and Bruce Arians' philosophy and like what he ran with the Cardinals, and it's a lot of like stretch the hell out of the defense and then power run when you run the ball. They're going to have to incorporate some running back passes into that. I think David Johnson did that in Arizona, so I think you could probably do the same in Tampa Bay. And I think there's other stats here. Maybe we can share it. I think forget who shared it, Sports Nation. But that's not a knock against Brady, but he's 43. He can't hit those throws like Winston even can, right? It needs arm strength to hit those vertical routes. And 18% completion on vertical routes isn't great, albeit only 11 attempts.
And who's our vertical threat in New England? Tell me that.
That's true.
Philip Dorsett.
Yeah, fair enough.
Everybody wants to knock Philip Dorsett, and then
Hey, Seahawks have him.
I think one thing I wanted to add with that is I think a lot of New England fans and Tom Brady fans are going to come at me with this as being like, oh, you just hate Tom Brady. I really went unbiased on this one. I wasn't actually doing it to hurt their feelings about where he's at. You're bringing a 43-year-old quarterback into an offense that stretches the field in a strong arm system. I think he's going to show that he can still throw deep. I don't think he's as bad a passer as people are saying he is. He can still put zoom on the ball, and his mechanics are flawless. Those are going to translate well. But I think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, even with the talent around them with the Buccaneers. I don't think it's going to be this amazing, successful marriage right off the bat. Tom Brady's learning a new system now. There's going to be a lot of changes for him, and he's coming into this, and it's going to be really fun to watch. I'm actually really excited to watch it, and I haven't been excited to watch Tom Brady in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be cool to see what they end up doing in that offense, and that's why I put him at 10. Don't take offense to it, Tom Brady fans.
Really quick thoughts on the nickname Tampa Bay. Tristan brought that to my attention. I'm not here for that. I don't like that.
I think it's a nice little gimmick. If I could add on to Zach, your ranking on him, I'm not offended at all. I thought that you would have him. I was surprised when I pulled it up that you even had him in the top 10, quite frankly. Like, we can't sugarcoat it that he is going to be 43 years old. And me being a Tom Brady fan, I can both be a Tom Brady fan and also think that it was totally rational if you put him 12, 15 overall in this list. Sorry, Jasper's scratching in the background.
That's okay.
So I just I don't disagree. I'm quite, like I said, I was surprised when I saw him at number 10, and I think that it's right to put him up there because of the weapons that he has. If he didn't have the weapons of Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, etc., well, then it would be totally reasonable to put him down, like I said, 12th, 15th overall. And some might argue even lower than that. But I think that just like to your point, 10 is a nice little number for him.
All right, Zach.
He's
number 9.
next.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's no timer on here, so I have no idea how long this episode's going to be. So
yeah, we can move
just
on.
3 hours long.
No, Tom Brady's always going to be able to bring his mind to the game too, and his competitive nature, which will help him wherever he goes. I think that's something to talk about. But my number 9 is Matt Ryan. Maybe some discretion here. People might not like that one very much, but Matt Ryan is a consistent figure at quarterback for me. I actually like him more than others. Last year, they really struggled, and then at the end came back a little stronger. They always have pieces. When you have Julio Jones, it's Ridley there as well. They brought in Todd Gurley. I think they're going to have talent on offense to allow that consistency to continue with Matt Ryan. And, you know, he's getting to that age where he is the one who, like, I think he's already reached that level, but he really knows his ability level, and he's going to command that offense at that level. I don't hate the Falcons as much as a lot of people do right now. And I just think Matt Ryan still has that talent to perform at, you know, not the top 5 level or top 3 level, but definitely top 10. He's one of the most accurate passers within the numbers, I think. I'll I'll bring a statistic back on that. I was reading up on this when I was making that list, and he's still a very accurate passer when he is not rushed. So they need to address the offensive line, and he's one of the best passers in the NFL at throwing the football not under pressure, which lots of guys are really good when they're not under pressure. But Matt Ryan's still got some in the tank, a lot, quite a bit still. Yeah,
I think they addressed their offensive line last year in the draft. I think their first 2 picks were offensive linemen. So to your point, I think they understand that, and they do have the skill position players around them to make that offense electric. That'll be exciting.
Steve?
No, I have nothing to add. I just totally agree. I think it's a good spot for him, number 9. I don't think his MVP year is far behind him now, so I don't know if you can put him top 5 anymore. So it's a good rating.
He's still up there in passing yards, though, almost 5,000, if not 5,000 last year. So, he's still really freaking good at putting up those volume stats. Anyways, I don't know if you want to say he's good because of it, but nonetheless,
Matt Ryan, he gets a bad rap, man. Matt Ryan gets a bad rap, but yeah.
I don't know if I agree with your number 8 quarterback though, Zach. I think it's a little too early on him. Who is that?
Here we go. So number 8. So a big one that went into this one for me is situation and bringing the best out of your talent. And like Tom Brady, I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady, but I'm comparing that situation is situation is a huge reason why quarterbacks reach their full talent. And a lot of times when a guy's playing for a contract, the year after they can look horrible afterwards, especially when losing big in the AFC. However, Ryan Tannehill last year with Derrick Henry there, what that team did with the receivers that they have and the way that offense plays, man, Ryan Tannehill was the best passer. He was ranked number 4 out of all quarterbacks on PFF. He's going to bring talent. He was never lacking of talent with Miami, and he had a few good seasons. There was a season where he threw 27 touchdowns with 12 interceptions. That's with a Miami roster that was always moving and never gave him the weapons he needed. And I feel like this offense is just meshing well. And I was one of the believers that Titans needed to re-sign him because he fit their mold so perfectly. It's one of those perfect situations for him. And I put him at number 8. That's dropping him from what most people actually see from him going into the 2020 campaign. But I do think there's going to be a little bit of a drop-off because he has got his contract now. He's not playing for that contract. However, I think he's playing still with that chip on his shoulder, and he's the most accurate deep ball thrower in the NFL right now. So, boom.
Wow, when you say that, holy shit, what a stat to hear. Not even a stat, but just a statement. Because it was true. It was true. There are the stats to back it up, but that just totally baffles my mind. Ryan Tannehill is the most accurate deep ball passer.
It's insane, man. When I think of Ryan Tannehill, I think of this kid who went from wide receiver to quarterback in college and just a super like he's fast and quick. And like, I've always loved his like mechanics and stuff. Like he worked on it really well, but I never thought of him as a drop in the pocket, just release just deep down. Yeah. And he's just doing that. He's like, you know what, I'm getting this second chance. And he talks about that too, because he had back in Miami, I guess he had a real bad attitude. And I guess when he came into Tennessee, it had changed to, they were all cheering for me in Miami to be this next franchise quarterback. The letdowns happened. I was very cocky in myself, but here I'm just going to do my best. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to work. And it came out on the field, man. And I'm behind Tannehill, man. You guys knew that from the start when he went in there, because I know you guys were beating the drum on Cam Newton, and I was like, I like Tannehill here. And so is Tristan.
Shit. That's a good take in retrospect.
Yeah.
I think 8's a good spot for him right now. He can prove me really wrong. And there is potential for that, and I'll put that out there. But I really liked what I saw from him.
All right, number 7.
Number 7. Deshaun Watson. People are kind of crazy with that one. They think it's a little, is that high or low? Like that's low for him, I guess.
Yeah.
Because at 7, but what I'm more, this is before the Cook trade, by the way, mind you. But I don't think it changes that too much. I just think at this point at 7, he's not the without Hopkins, the best receiver arguably in the game right now, and what Bill O'Brien's trying to create there, we're not sure of. I think there's so much uncertainty there that Deshaun is going to be in a tough situation here. So even at 7 might be, for some people, a little high.
Ooh. If we're looking specifically with the team around him and stuff like that, I totally am with you then. If we're looking at quarterback talent alone, I think Deshaun Watson's a top 5 quarterback. But yeah, I'm with you on number 7. We're looking at a team who realistically could, because of the injury history of the past, we could realistically be seeing a team where they are without their top 2 wide receivers at some point this year, just based on history. So, which when you think of that, then who's he throwing it to? Randall Cobb, who hasn't done much. So, 2020
last year, but
yeah, he might. 2020 might be a breaking point for Deshaun, and we'll take him in New England with open arms.
Steve?
Yeah, I think on talent alone he should be higher, but encompassing everything and how he might have to try to carry that team, that remains to be seen. So at
he's
7,
definitely.
I guess I'm okay with 7, but I think I'd put him above who you have at number 6, which is
cool. I love it. Yeah, no, I agree with what you guys say. I'm on the same wavelength. But at 6, and you're gonna freaking kill me, Steve. I think at 6, I was battling with him, not putting him at 5, and it's Aaron Rodgers. Okay.
Oh.
Aaron Rodgers brings a special talent to the game. He didn't look as good last year. You're right. He was learning a new offense. That team went 13-3 still and went to the NFC Championship game. I like Matt LaFleur, and I like what they're trying to do there. They need to address that second wide receiver and get the tight end position rolling a bit better. But I like that they're focusing more on the run. I think Aaron does need to play better, though. I do agree with that. But I still think he has the talent to do it, and that is why I have him at 6.
Yeah, I've been over Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years now. He just seems like he makes it to the NFC Championship to get blown out, which isn't all his fault, but
that's actually true. What a weird
man.
Yeah, like Atlanta, they got there and they just got rocked. And then San Francisco, I wasn't even looking forward to that game. Like I knew it was going to happen. Maybe I'm just salty personally because people still have the audacity to put him above Russell Wilson, but I think that's just like longevity bias. Like everyone still thinks Rodgers is 2011 Rodgers or 2012 Rodgers. It's not the case. Having him at 6 isn't giving you that. I'm not putting that on you, Zach. I think people rate him higher than what you're putting him at 6, which angers me. I'm okay with 6, but I'd probably put Deshaun over him, but that's just me. This is your list. So
yeah, I think if we were to put Rodgers ahead of anybody, it'd be who Zach has at 5. But I have a little bit of a anti-bias there. I'd be putting Deshaun Watson in front of him as well if we're looking at surrounding talent. So Zach, I'd love to hear your rationale on this.
Auzzie and I just have these grudges against these quarterbacks, but Zach, who's number 5 on your list?
Number 5 is Carson Wentz. Mind you, that is a healthy Carson Wentz, so I have to take that into account. Carson Wentz, when healthy, is one of the most gifted, talented quarterbacks in the league. I've never seen a man falling because he's getting tackled and throwing a ball 40 yards downfield as he's falling and having a catch on the sideline as beautiful. Man, he has highlight reel passes. I think this guy, if he can stay healthy, can be easily a top 5 quarterback. We've seen it in his MVP race season. Then he got hurt, unfortunately. There it is. But it's so weird. You look at Carson Wentz with his stature, the way he is, 6'5", 240. You think he would be like, his body would be able to withstand more of the punishment that is taken in the NFL. But I guess everyone, everyone's getting hit hard, right? So I love his talent, and on talent alone, I'm really high on Carson Wentz, so I put him up there. I'm big on his preparation. It reminds me a lot of Peyton Manning. I just, maybe that's a little bit of biased on my end, like you guys are talking about, but I think Carson Wentz, when healthy, is, even with the supporting cast that they have, head coach there, Doug Peterson, and him are so good together. I think that they'll scheme around it. They're going to get a vertical threat in there if it's Deshaun just coming back from injury, or I don't know what the situation is there. Tristan might scold me. I think Carson Wentz has a lot of talent and rightfully deserves number 5 on the list.
I'm okay with Wentz at 5. I might put Watson ahead of him and have Wentz at 6, but those two are kind of interchangeable for me. They both still have a little bit to prove to me, but I'm okay with this. I'm glad he's above Rodgers for sure.
If I'm looking at Carson Wentz, I totally agree with you, Zach. He is like a prototypical quarterback in terms of size, talent, and he's got that running ability too if he needs to, which is quite insane. But if we're looking at talent, I would put Deshaun in front of him just because Deshaun just is, I would say hasn't shown anything less than Wentz. But yeah, it's your list and I respect it. But if we're going on talent, I'd put Watson up there.
Who's at number 4, Zach?
Number 4, and everyone's going to hate me and they're going to say it's because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. This was interchangeable with 3.
I think you say Baker.
Saying a lot. No. And this is on the sole fact he might be old and he's a little bit younger than Brady. But the situation in New Orleans, and even though he can't throw deep like he used to, he is still one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. And that system just is so perfect for him. He is number 4, Drew Brees.
I'm okay with that.
With the rest of the quarterbacks in this list, I mean, it's tough to say that it's like the fall from grace, so to speak. But I mean,
there's a new wave.
This is perfect. Yeah, it's a new wave, and it's tough to put a 40-year-old quarterback above some of these other guys in the league. So I'm totally down with this.
He got out-dueled by Kirk Cousins in the wild card round. I don't think he had a great wild card game against the Vikings. So
yeah, I agree. That was a very surprising game, actually. I'm with you, Steve. But finally, Kirk Cousins putting some respect on that name that I've been fighting for 3 years. So.
Kirk Cousins, perhaps top 3 on Zach's list. Stay tuned.
Wait, were you guys not agreeing of him at 4 or yes agree?
No, I agree. He got out-dueled by Kirk, yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
So that's why Steve.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can't get out-dueled by Kirk.
You fall.
And live to tell the tale. Are you kidding me?
So we have at number 3, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, I had to put some respect on his name. After this past season, he was MVP for a reason. I think a lot of his ability, because of that running game, his ability to do that. I still, and I will sit here and say this, and you're like, oh, he threw 35 touchdowns. I do believe a lot of his throwing success comes because of the dual threat that he brings to the table. He's not the best passer in the world. He is a good passer, though. I'm not taking that away from him. Hence, number 3 on my list. That's high on my list, my friends. If I give you a top 3 listing on here, you are outstanding in your field, okay? Like a scarecrow, outstanding in your field. But no, sorry.
With a bottom 3 pun. But he's a top 3 quarterback. So.
Yeah, but he's a top 3 quarterback. Just on the ability, he didn't get hurt last year. That was one of the things I was really worried about. The system he plays in with Harbaugh, it's just perfect for him, the perfect situation for him. That team is perfect, hence top 3 in overall talent. Throwing the football. Yeah, I won't jump into it. He deserves the top 3.
I think that's totally fair. Yeah.
I'm totally fine with the placement because of the other 2 quarterbacks, but it sounded like you're kind of making an excuse to drop him because of the system that he's in, because he's a dual threat quarterback. You kind of took away a little bit from him. That's what it sounded like. But
sure was,
I would just say that he only threw 6 picks last year. He completed 66% of his passes and threw 36 touchdowns, I think it was. So like, and you kind of said that too, like he did throw that many touchdowns, but you still are hesitant in his passing. Is that the Cleveland bias coming in there, or why do you say that? Because
maybe a little bit.
I'm just curious. Okay.
And everyone's going to hear it now. I am not a believer in sustaining a dual threat quarterback as much as he is a dual threat quarterback. I think that will catch up with him. I don't want to get into that right now because all Raven fans are I'm not going to say both words. They're very hot for him at the moment because of the success he had last year. Let's see if he can do it again. That's all. But he has the perfect situation right now to do it again. And I will give him that. And I will give him, he looked great last year at his opportunities, but it was absolutely perfect for him. Everything was absolutely perfect for him to do that. And at some point that's going to give, but right now he's number 3 on my list. I got to give that prop, but I don't want to take it away from him because he won MVP. He was absolutely unreal on every piece of film. Throwing to, man, the first 3 or 4 weeks, how many passes did he throw to Brown? That was just, there was nobody around Brown. Like, it was absolutely insane. But like, I'm not taking away from him. You gotta, it's sometimes hard to hit wide open.
No, I won't grill you too hard. I already know that as soon as Zach Zabrecki sees this, he's going to be dialing your phone number. So
I love it. Yeah, come at me, man.
I just wanted to challenge you a little bit on that.
I'll back you up because I like your number 2 quarterback here, Zach.
Yes. My number 2 quarterback, he is my favorite quarterback in the NFL. And that is coming from a guy who was not a huge fan of him early on in his career. When he beat my boy Matt Flynn way back when. Russell Wilson. With everything that happened this year, I was a huge believer in Russell Wilson for MVP for a very long time. But the flashiness of and the 14-2 of Lamar killed that. Russell Wilson, the perfect style of a guy who goes against everything you look for in a quarterback in stature and ability to run the football. He just does it so perfectly and has always been the reason that offense is so damn good. He is the only, throwing 35 touchdowns and 7 interceptions in a year where he had no O-line, and he scored, I think that year he scored the most rushing touchdowns and had the most rushing yards as well. And I'm not even I'm not even a big rushing quarterback guy. Like I prefer a guy throwing the ball 10 yards than running it, just for the safety factor in that. But Russell Wilson, his mechanics are perfect. He's perfect and the perfect person to be a leader of a football team. Like, I can't say enough good things about Russell Wilson, and I will be his cheerleader till the day he retires, I'm sure. I hope that was enough rationale for number 2.
What I've always liked about Russ is, as mobile as he is, he's safe with it. Like, he'll step out of bounds, he'll slide, and that's why you've seen the career longevity of Russ, knock on wood, compared to like RG3, who burst onto the scene as well in 2012, but was very reckless, took bad and unnecessary hits. And, hopefully RG3 is giving that wisdom to Lamar now, and protecting his body. But yeah, Russ, when he runs, he's going to slide at the right time. He's going to make the right read. And yeah, I'm with this ranking. What I have him at number 1, I think there's a discussion to be had, but I mean, the obvious consensus number 1 based on
don't say it,
the way he came back. Who's number 1, Zach? Or we'll get Auzzie. Auzzie, any thoughts on Russ? It's Kirk Cousins. Number 1's Kirk Cousins, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's hard to, like you said, Steve, it's hard to argue, and it would be maybe a good debate show, but Russ is my second favorite quarterback right now. So yeah. And I mean, he's just such a lovable guy too. And the other guy in this at number 1 is in my conference, so I can't really like him too much. So I'd put Russ at number 1, but can't win them all.
So at number one, this guy is just the clear out talent in the NFL. He's the best quarterback in the NFL right now with stats, supporting cast, the perfect coach for him. Baker Mayfield is the greatest. No, I just
hate it.
That was good. Patrick Mahomes.
That was good.
Patrick Mahomes is special, and as much as I'm in the AFC as well, my friend Austin was my favorite team. I was wowed by him this year. Again, coming back from injury, he still threw over 30 touchdowns, I think. He's gone for 3 games or something. Still threw over 30 touchdowns. I've never seen a talent like that. I guess you could look back at Brett Favre, the Elways, the guys who just you see Brett Favre throw a football and you're like, that guy can whip it, man. And this is just, he does it with so little effort and like the perfect system and the perfect supporting cast. Like the strongest arm in the NFL has Tyreek Hill on the same team. Like just right there. And then Sammy Watkins. Okay. Like, I mean, he's super fast. Like the situation. Perfect.
Kelce.
Travis Kelce. Yeah. And then just that arm. Like it's a perfect mix. And I'm going to try and enjoy this because, when the Browns are winning Super Bowls with Baker Mayfield, like it's going to be at the expense of Patty Mahomes, but everyone's going to understand that Patty Mahomes is this guy. And I actually don't disagree with Nick Wright. Patty Mahomes at this point in his career has a shot of becoming in that discussion of greatest quarterback of all time. If the trajectory keeps going, if he keeps attacking, and if he keeps winning Super Bowls, that's a lot of ifs. Mm-hmm. And a lot to do, but the talent is there. The situation is there. Because I think a lot like what Tom Brady had to do is he had to have that initial success. Then there was a long wait in between before he started winning the second round of Super Bowls. And it would have to be the same kind of thing for Patty Mahomes. He needs to take advantage of what he has around him at this moment.
Yeah, I'm hoping Russ gets that second Brady win that Brady got. I mean, so we'll see.
Nick Wright is just so biased for his Chiefs that it's not even funny. He's been writing off Tom Brady for 4 years, so it's just I don't even listen to that guy anymore.
He hates Tom Brady.
He does. He hates him with a passion. So.
Broken clocks right twice a day, right?
He's freaking giving his boy Patty Mahomes GOAT status after 2 years. So miss me with that.
But after 2 years, AFC Championship and Super Bowl, like he's.
Well, Brady did that in his first.
Yeah, but look at what Patty Mahomes did with the statistics behind it too. Like, and
look at the team and the roster and the.
Yeah, but look at the roster that Tom Brady had then too. He was the best defense every single year for the first 3 years. Like,
right. Let's just hold on. Let's
save
20
that.
more years of this.
Let's.
Yes.
Russ should be in the GOAT discussion as well. He has a trajectory. He could get it. Give him 10 years, man. He's only 31.
Actually, though, Russ did the same thing in his second year. He won the Super Bowl too. So,
yeah.
But look who you're talking to. Okay, guys. CFL postponed their season to July at the earliest. I was saying on B2B, Ian and I were talking. I am not confident there'll be any professional sports being played in the calendar 2020 year, which sucks because we just had a big discussion about the draft and we're excited for 2020. It's not looking great. I'm not a health professional, but I don't see a way you can get everyone congregating at sports games or even these players in locker rooms unless there's a vaccine, which seems like it's a year to a year and a half out. But that's why you got us here to entertain you. And also in that same vein, XFL has laid off all its employees. So now they suspended operations when everyone else did. God, that was 5 weeks ago already, but now they've laid off their employees. I hope they don't fold because I really liked what they did. I think they really got it right this time. It wasn't the AAF. It wasn't Arena League football. It was quality football and people were rallying around it. It had its own quirks about it. And it felt like they got it right. So I hope this isn't the last we see of it. Hopefully Vince McMahon can, look in that couch of his and pull out a couple more $1 million to keep her going next year, but we'll see.
Just keep selling shares in WWE.
Yeah. CFL, I'm pretty concerned too. If the season doesn't start till Labor Day and they play in empty stadiums, the only problem is the CFL doesn't have the TV money that the NFL has. You couldn't survive just based on TV revenue. They're a very gate-driven league. They get 30,000 fans, 25,000 fans in the East in those stadiums, and they need that. So I'm very interested in seeing how that's all going to play out. But any thoughts on that, guys? And we just got to do a coward of the week, and then we're wrapping up.
No thoughts, just sad boy hours.
Yeah,
so. Sad boy hours too.
You know what, guys? Throughout all this, we'll make do. We'll have plenty of things to talk about, whether it's the past. We can have plenty of debates like Brady versus Mahomes or Russ versus Mahomes. And drafts on the 23rd. We're going to plan some cool things for that too. So we'll keep each other occupied here, and we'll keep all of you either watching or listening occupied. It's no shortage of content out there, no shortage of history in CFL, NFL, NBA, NHL, everything. So it doesn't hurt to look back and admire the past and once in a while too. Very lastly, this week's Coward of the Week, bringing it back. I am the Coward of the Week because I forgot Tristan's submission on our Instagram page last week when we were talking about free agency. He mentioned that the Eagles, Ravens, and the Bucks all had great free agencies. So the Eagles again. What was that one move they make that I keep forgetting? It was someone on their
Darius Slay.
Yes.
Trade,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that makes for a pretty good free agency. And I think they extended him too. So it's not just like a rental. I think that makes it worthy. I think they're going to address the receiver position in the draft. A lot of people are mocking Jefferson there at 21 or 22. I think that's when they pick. I think it's 21.
Everyone is.
Yeah, everyone is. So including we're not going to spoil it because our mock episode's next week. Really excited to roll that out for everyone. So apologies for any technical difficulties. It is our first episode with Zoom. We're going to figure it out. We're pretty young in this process or early in this process. So bear with us, and we're going to hope to continue bringing you diverse, because now you can see us, content. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at SteveBolin22 and on Instagram at SteveBolin_, and find our agency accounts. We'll be posting Zach's top 10 list today, Friday, April 10th. It's Good Friday, so it's a good day to look at a top 10 list and send your angry DMs to Zach. Zach, where can people angrily DM you on your social media?
Well, they can. If you come at me at Twitter, it's at ZachFoth, and on Instagram, which I check a little bit more frequently, ZachFoth_. So fill up the DMs, get the girlfriend looking over going, who's messaging you on Instagram a few times, and I can answer you back. Just kidding. Tiana, you're great. She doesn't actually do that. So yeah, thank you.
Nice little insight into the relationship.
Auzzie, where will you be messaging Zach from when you go and just slander him? What account will you be doing that from?
Well, I'll do it from Twitter and Instagram. Of course, I got a double dip there. And so Zach, watch out. But it's at Austin Paul _. That's Austin with a Y, not an I. So
it's an I. That could be misinterpreted. That could be yeah.
You're gonna have to click 18A now because of that.
We're not cropping anything. Ignore that last 10 seconds.
Rated R.
You know where to find Auzzie. You know where to find all of us now. Stay safe, stay clean. Unlike the gestures I was making for a second there, and Godspeed.